All right, folks, I'm back. Hold on. I do things during the break. I mean, we got to work around here. If you would see the CEO down the hall, you would understand what this is like. I mean, you should see Chief down the hall. I mean, I take a break. Oh, the fake news is going all out in order to demean. What is that? And denigrate such hatred. Oh. We'll get back in a minute. I didn't take a very good picture because the chief was mad. But, Richie, I'm going to send you this picture. All right? And pick one out. And let me know when you got it ready. All right? Oh, hold on. I might have to do it during the next break. Because if I get Chief's picture wrong, he will be very upset. So we'll do that during the next break. I want you to know what it's like. We're going to give you some behind the scenes. Okay? I'm not joking. This is behind the scenes at FYN. All right? And what goes on here. Now, my camera is not a very good camera. I'm going to resize these. I'm going to go with a medium. And I'm going to do two things. I'm going to show you the chief here. Who's running things, and I'm going to show you what happens when I'm not around, folks. This is what happens when I'm not around. And then I'm actually going to show you, I feel I'm going to show you my baby picture today. All right, enough is enough, right? All right, Richie, I've sent you like 15 pictures. Pick out 2 or 3 good ones of the chief and let me know. And put these all together and give me a thumbs up when we're ready. Hey, folks, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Now, yesterday, a bombshell report. Don't you love the bombshell report? Yesterday, the bombshell report that Trump has asked, okay, Trump has asked for a tenfold increase in our nuclear arsenal, okay? So Mattis, James Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, said, this is not true. I was in the meeting. It didn't happen. It's not true. Okay? All right. So did NBC come out today and apologize? Did MSNBC open their show and say, folks, we need to come to you this morning, the American people, and apologize for the lies we told yesterday concerning this national security meeting where President Trump allegedly asked to increase the nuclear arsenal of this country tenfold? Did they come out and apologize this morning? No, they did not. They doubled down. All right? Can you just sit and talk about this stability of the President of the United States? Or should we sit and let the First Amendment or hide behind the First Amendment? Should we allow the intentional takedown of a President of the United States by the establishment, Republicans included? Republicans, Democrats, the media, the globalists, the corporatocracy, all the above. Should we sit and allow it? And should they be able to hide behind the First Amendment? Now, here's what I said, and this is a quote. See if I get it right. I wrote this. I wrote an article last year, and in the article I said, it's coming to you now, Richie. I accidentally sent it to the wrong place. But in the article, I wrote, all right, if a person goes to the scene and starts the fire, if they start the fire and then they run and call the fire truck and they follow the fire truck to the fire, take pictures of the fire, report about the fire, are they an arsonist or a journalist? That is the question. Is MSNBC an arsonist? Is MSNBC, Joe Scarborough, NBC, their bombshell reports, is this an act of treason? Or is this journalism? I, for one, am very nervous, and you need to understand what they need to do. They need to end the internet. No, not as you know it by searching for something. They need to get the reason they're working with Facebook and the reason they're working with all of these people now is to figure out how to control the internet to stop me, to stop you. You see, MSNBC comes out with a bombshell report, and 3 hours later, you refute it. You find it to be a lie. You find the truth. You do the research. And they can't stand that. They can't stand it. Everything that they say the president's doing, we find out the truth immediately, and they can't take it. Now, either the people around Donald Trump are the biggest liars, or they're telling the truth. People surrounding the president do not hear the noise that the media is making in the West Wing. Mike Pence is not going out and feeling that he's been demeaned by Donald Trump. People can still take a joke. Hey, Tillerson says I'm a moron. Okay, let's take an IQ test. I mean, so big deal. I mean, the only people that's really upset when I say that are, you know, it's maybe at the yacht club somewhere in Connecticut. I can understand, you know. You find a guy with a sweater and the sleeves tied around his neck, he's probably the guy that's upset. I mean, you know, come on, you know. How do you wear a sweater? Tie the sleeves around your neck. Really? That's probably who's upset with Donald Trump. Now, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. What I want to do right now is I want to ask you if you think the media, should be held responsible for their reports if they're lies. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about FetchYourNews.com, and it is relevant to what the President of the United States is talking about. Sam will tell you this. Any reporter will tell you this. We have trouble here finding people, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because we don't tolerate things. All right, this is a behind-the-scenes look at FetchYourNews.com. I'm going to tell you a little bit about us that you're not going to hear anywhere else. One, we do not edit a reporter's content. Now, what does that mean? When you read stories on FetchYourNews.com, regardless the county they're in, all right, we send those stories. We have an editor that goes through these stories all week long. And do we make mistakes? Yes. And do we have some errors? Yes. Not like, you know, one candidate that can't get 2 words spelt correctly in 2 ads. Oh my God. Did you see that ad? Well, it was a little fun. Anyhow, so, you know, if I was a candidate, you know, I'm not going to name any names, but if I was a candidate, I think I would put the drink down, the cigarette out, and, you know, say, hey, you know, I'm not going to just take a minute and proofread some things. Now, I don't know that. I mean, I'm not mentioning any names. Anyhow, where was I at? Okay, we have an editor that goes through Fetch Your News all the time, reading and reading and reading. But our editor is not allowed to change the content. big no here. I review weekly, and the editor I'm talking that's with us, they know to bring everything to my attention if they see anything. But our rule is we're not allowed to change the content on our writers. We do not. Now, what you read for the most part in your local publications, there's an editor that changes content all the time. It happens all the time. I talk to reporters all the time throughout North Georgia that there's so many times when they actually see their article, there's many that don't recognize their article because it's been hacked up and changed before it hits press. Okay? All the time. We do not do that. I'll look in the camera. When you see an article, okay, on FetchYourNews.com, we do not. Now, I have meetings with all the writers, and I'm very firm. Sam and I, Sam's the general manager, we sit down with every writer, and we're very firm on, we do not create the news, we write the news. So this is important for what Trump said, because I'm going to give you a little background of who we are. We will tell anybody, if you want out of here so fast, your head will spin at FetchYourNews.com. Let us catch you creating news. We report news, we don't create it. Period. Okay? All of our writers are told that. The other thing our writers are told, now we're just giving you some behind the scenes because this is the truth. Once a writer starts working in an area and they start putting out a lot of information, they gain power. They do. Now, this is just something people will not talk about, but I will. So you got your MSNBC, they got power. You got people that have power when they start putting out information. That's dangerous. It's good and dangerous. So another thing any writer ever comes in here, they hear is you're going to get power. You're going to start writing, and people are going to start reading your stuff, and you're going to feel the power in your articles. Another thing that gets them out of here so fast their head's spinning is when they abuse their power. So I can tell you right now, and Sam will tell you, when we set the reporters down, and we do, we tell them very clearly here at FetchYourNews.com, we report the news, we don't create it. That's number one. And if you don't want to do that, you're out. Two, we do not change the content on your articles. You're the one writing your articles. We're going to hold you to a standard to tell the truth. Okay? Three. What is three? Oh, hell, three. What is three? I had it just a minute ago. What is three?
Abusing power.
Thank you. Abusing power. We're checking to see if anybody's listening, folks. I was wondering if I've ever going to get anything in my ear to say abusing power. Abusing power. I'm very funny. Richie will tell you, you'd never come in here and sit down that we don't talk about abusing power. You're out. Okay? And another thing a reporter will hear at Fetch Your News is you are a direct conduit of information to the readers. You got mom and dad leaving the house this morning. They're going to work. They're trying to raise their kids. They're in school. They pick them up. They got to go to baseball practice, soccer practice, wherever they're going. By the time they get them all home, get something to eat, it's 9 o'clock, and they have to go back to work the next day. They need to be able to click on FetchYourNews.com and read a commissioner's article, a city council article, a board of education article, or any article, and know that our writers have given them they have written clear, correct, factual information. That's who we are. That's who we are. And you know what? We're growing rapidly because we get comments every day that people appreciate that. So those are some of the core things that happen here. So MSNBC on a daily basis lies. There's no other way around. They lie. You have a news network that spent 3 hours yesterday. Now, Richie covers on Wednesday, and I don't want to say he covers. He's coming right along. I remember 2 years ago when I started this show, all of the things that you would send me notes on, and how I was preparing and learning to present a show every day to you out there. Richie comes every Wednesday, and he prepares, and he does a 2-hour show. And the goal here is for, we're going to call him a young man because, sorry, but he's a younger guy than me, a couple years, 2 or 3. Anyhow, he is working towards developing his delivery, developing his information, and bringing it to you. And it's getting better. It's not a negative. It's getting better every single week. He's bringing you great information, and he's here on Wednesdays, okay? And so yesterday, I went outside. I got a cheap cigar. Yeah, 6 o'clock in the morning, cup of coffee, cheap cigar. I mean, when is it not a good time to have a cheap cigar? Anyhow, I shouldn't say that. So yesterday, I get up, I go outside, I get a cup of coffee, and I want to listen to MSNBC, and I want to hear what their takedown of the day is. And folks, they did a 3-hour show yesterday, and then went right out of Mika and Joe, Morning Joe, into their next programming with this tenfold nuclear arsenal buildup that did not happen. James Mattis said it didn't happen. They're talking about Trump being unfit if they take down the cabinet. All right, this morning you had a news network that in this Constitution was actually quoting the 25th Amendment. All right? Section 4. Now, you think Mike Pence is going to do this, but they wasted time. The 25th Amendment, Section 4, wherever the Vice President and the majority of either the principal officers of the executive department or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the President pro tem, to the Senate and the Speaker of the House, their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge powers and duties of his office. The Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office of the President of the United States. The Cabinet. The Vice President has to carry, if the Cabinet finds President Trump unfit to serve. Unfit. This is what they did news on this morning. This is what they did. They did not retract their story today. They did not say Mattis. Now, I don't know if MSNBC, Morning Joe, the Barnacle, what the hell is a Barnacle? I don't know if in hour 2 and hour 3 they said anything. 1 solid hour, 6 to 7, I watched it. Not one time did James Mattis' name come up. Not one time did it come up that Mattis said that did not happen. Not once. They doubled down on Trump. They doubled down. They talked this morning about an hour, and they actually they talked about the President of the United States wanting to go against what they call the First Amendment and freedom of the press. Freedom of lies. Now, don't you find it interesting that all of a sudden the left is concerned about the Constitution? I find it so interesting. They jump around. They like that 25th Amendment because there's the option of the cabinet of the United States delivering to the Speaker of the House, okay? Delivering to the Speaker of the House that the president's unfit. That we have news networks talking about him being unfit to serve. And they like the First Amendment, the freedom to lie to the public in a crowded theater. The freedom to yell fire. Are they yelling fire in a crowded theater, or is it freedom of speech? Should there be consequences for false reporting? Should there be? I don't know. You tell me. Are you concerned with what President Trump said? Think about that for a minute, and I'll be right back, and we'll talk about that on the other side of this break. Richie, take us to break. All right, Richie, we were talking during the break. Now, first of all, you remember when your mother used to say it's all fun until somebody gets hurt? Remember that? It's all fun until somebody gets hurt. Now, the Harvey Weinstein, is that his name, the story? I have been cautious on getting really too close to that because it's all fun till somebody gets hurt. Obviously, the double standard of the media, the left, Hollywood's double standard. It was all fun until somebody got hurt. It was all fun until somebody got hurt. And there's quite a double standard, and it's to portray something, as long as it's on the big screen and you're giving $15 or giving your money at the box office or on pay-per-view, they could portray anything they want on the big screen. If we have a generation of kids that are watching just death and mayhem and destruction and killing and just an enormous amount. I mean, Vegas, let's not get upset with me, okay? Vegas, what happened, can't hold a light to what our kids are watching that is coming from the media. Sex, every form of everything going on. It's okay as long as it's on that big screen and they're getting the money and they're living in the big houses. And it's okay as long as Nancy Pelosi is throwing these big fancy fundraisers and they're showing up. And it's okay when they're hating the right people. But, God forbid, like Mom says, it's all fun till somebody gets hurt. What were you saying about them holding the story, Richie, while we were at break? You made a comment. I said, come on in and
well, it goes along while they're busy, investigating how to use the 25th Amendment to go after Trump, and this story with Mattis. Juxtapose that with the fact that Ronan Farrow, Mia Farrow's son, who used to host that atrocious midday show on MSNBC years ago, he had this story, and NBC executives denied it over and over again. This was, I guess, 3-4 years ago, and then he walked in. He told Rachel Maddow that he walked in to the New Yorker with that story. They didn't change a thing. They said, they greenlit it. It goes back to, I guess, the changing content and withholding content too is, I think, just as big of a ethical question we see with a lot of these bigger places. So,
that's why I wanted to bring in and let you run with that. So what we're saying is, while they're finding the importance of what may have happened in a meeting, while they're reporting unnamed sources in a meeting and treating it as though it's a constitutional crisis, you're telling me, I say this kind of facetious, you're telling me that NBC had facts, figures, dates, times, all the above in a story and held it.
Yeah, this kid Ronan Farrow really did a pretty bang-up job. I mean, it's very in-depth. If I recommend folks check out that article in the New Yorker. I mean, after he left MSNBC, I mean, he was on this guy's trail for a long time, and it's just, it also makes you wonder, because they fired him and replaced him, and I know MSNBC brought in a new president and changed all their content, but a lot of these liberal hacks didn't get fired. So, it makes you wonder if he was stirring up too much trouble.
So he wrote the article, he did the research, NBC passed on it.
Yes.
And that'd be NBC, that'd be Saturday Night Live, passed on it. That'd be Brian Williams, NBC, Rachel Maddow, little Chrissy Hayes, right? Little Chrissy Hayes. Little Chrissy Hayes. Lawrence O'Donnell.
Yeah, no go.
Lawrence O'Donnell.
He was too worried about the hammering.
Yeah, thrill up the leg guy. Yeah, the hammering. You watched that video? He freaked out, didn't he? Lawrence O'Donnell, I watched that video too. He freaked out. Like, where's the hammer?
No Chris Matthews, though.
No Chris Matthews.
Although I don't think
Chuck, come on now, wait a minute, Richie. I refuse to believe that the same NBC that has Chuck Todd, Andrea Mitchell, you mean that crackpot staff, there's a possibility they knew all about this all along?
A word on the street is it was the worst kept secret in Hollywood.
Not Chuck Todd.
So we won't even get into the Clintons and the Obamas who took 5 days to comment on it. I thought they were the feminists, the warriors of this supposed war on women. I mean, this is almost as bad as having a binder full of women, isn't it?
What?
This is almost as bad as Mitt Romney having a binder full of women.
Well, all right, folks. Try to stay away from that story, but you just can't because it's interesting. Now, the story with Weinstein, Monday and Tuesday, I didn't get into it, but I've been watching this develop, and with NBC, especially yesterday and this morning, I think to myself, really, and you're concerned that Trump has called for maybe revoking your broadcast license, which cannot be done because broadcast license goes. Let's go to the Twitter deck quickly before the show closes. We told you earlier, it's 57 minutes ago, Donald Trump tweeted out the fake news is going all out in order to demean and denigrate such hatred. They do, folks. They do. They're doing everything.